Yes, this is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerate. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Around the nation, TYT Nation, Jeff Walter here with you. Welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, midweek. Half the week's over. That's good. We still got another half, though. So who knows what kind of disaster we're going to see in the next couple of days before the weekend. Hopefully not a whole lot. But we'll see. We got a lot of great stories for you guys today. We're going to talk about Fox hosts who are actually going to push back against Donald Trump on his recent immigration order. That's really interesting. We've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going after Tucker Carlson or vice versa. It's fun. I love the clapback. It's awesome. I think you'll enjoy that story. We got the new study on hydroxychloroquine. Is it effective? Is it or is it not? So we got a study on that. Good times. We've got Georgia restaurant owners pushing back against Brian Kemp. That's awesome. And then we've got a Biden story that is getting me to feel a little bit of schadenfreude. And I'll be honest about that. Like, I'm kind of enjoying it. Like, yeah. And then, of course, there's the story about flying boats. Based on a Trump tweet, somebody's got flying boats. We'll dive into that. We'll see what's going on there. Lots of fun. So the usual mix of fun, ridiculous, stories and disasters. So that's what you get on the show. All right. Before I dive into it, I want to ask everybody to please like and share the stream. Super important, helps us out. YouTube, of course, and I say this all the time, but it's absolutely true. We're no longer getting recommended by the YouTube algorithm. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, we're not an authoritative source. We're not considered authoritative. So they've artificially limited how many people I can reach on YouTube. So YouTube has stepped in, and this is happening to a lot of independent media where they say, we're just not going to recommend you anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to recommend authoritative sources like Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and whatever, authoritative channels or whatever channels they decide are authoritative. So that sucks. Not only that, but of course, there are other ways that they've limited our channel's growth. And so what we're doing is we really need to count on you guys to help share out the clips, because I'm not going to get recommended to a new audience. So I'm relying entirely on anybody and everybody who can share these clips and try to spread the word of our show to your friends, to progressive communities, for example, on Twitter, on Facebook, all that stuff. Share out our clips. I'll be doing the same. And that's going to help us grow the audience, grow this, the nation here, right? And so we need your help. And of course, we always need your help with Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, because with the lack of views, of course, we end up having a lack of revenue. And so we're barely hanging on here Patreon.com/218nation or become a channel member. Help us out. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go to the first story here. Let's have some fun with Fox. One of the hosts of Fox and Friends had a moment of rare criticism for the President of the United States based on his most recent immigration order. Let's take a look.
6 o'clock hour, you were talking about the farmers, and farmers here, many of them are here on work visas. Many families here, including mine, we have au pairs, and we rely on them. I go to work at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I need her there, and I need her in my house so that she can help me with my daughter. So many families rely on childcare from other countries. These au pairs come here on work visas. They have to go back to their country to get the visas renewed, and we've been talking in my house about how that's going to happen. So these are all things, these are questions that we have that hopefully the president will roll out a plan, and we'll all be informed on how this is going to affect all of our lives.
Oh my God, it's finally affecting my life. Oh, what's going to happen to my au pair? I need my au pair. Oh, now you're doing something like banning them from the country. I do declare my au pair. I mean, what am I going to do if I don't have someone else to watch my kid? Well, welcome to being somebody who doesn't have access to childcare in America, like millions of people do. They can't afford it. Childcare is incredibly expensive. And so now it's kind of funny that these conservatives, right? These are pretty wealthy people. And I'm not just going to limit this to conservatives, but you have also got the limousine liberals, you know, people who are generally pretty well off. Ainsley Earhardt, I think, she makes millions of dollars a year being a talking head at Fox News. So she can afford her au pair, right? But most people actually can't afford childcare. And so is she finally going to pay attention to that? No. What she's going to do is, of course, push for looser immigration, and which I'm actually in favor of immigration, right? I'm in favor of smart immigration. I'm in favor of people having a pathway to citizenship and all that stuff. But at the same time, I actually care about the people. That's why. Whereas a lot of these people complaining about the au pair. How am I going to ever survive if I don't have my au pair? No, get out of here. You're only worried about yourself. Only worried about yourself. All right, so what's funny too is, oh, wait a minute, Fox News, you're normally against immigration. The people on Fox are like, oh my God, everything that Donald Trump is fantastic. And so, you know, I support everything he does, especially on banning immigrants. Yes, let's ban them all. Oh, wait, now it affects me. Oh, crap. Totally against that now. Wait, why not hire an American, Ainsley? Why not hire an American to do that job, to be an au pair? Oh, you don't want to do that because you'd have to pay them more. Yeah. By the way, is anybody else bothered by calling them the au pair? It sounds so like hoity-toity, rich and fancy. Basically, this is somebody who watches your kids, babysitter. I just call them babysitter. Like, yeah, I'm hiring a babysitter. Oh, but no, must be fancy because it's a foreign person, right? And you know, I call them au pair. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's ridiculous. By the way, there's 22 million people out of work. You saying you can't hire an American for that job? I thought you're all about that. I mean, how disconnected are these people? And the answer, of course, is incredibly disconnected. These are the same people that are mad and want to open up the country because they can't get their freaking nails done. Sorry, Karen, but you got people that are dying right now. Nobody gives a crap about your nails. And I equally don't give a crap about your au pair. Millions of people, again, can't afford childcare in this country. So, that said, why are we banning immigration anyway in the middle of this? Like, I understand some basic travel restrictions, right? In making sure to screen, like, well, you know, if we're going to have flights, screen people, but I generally, at this moment, would not recommend anybody flying because, you know, you're in a small, confined space with a lot of people and, you know, and you've got recycled air systems. So that's a prime place for something like coronavirus to spread. So right now, travel restrictions, they make a ton of sense. But a full-on immigration ban, what? It's not even necessary at this point. This is all about Donald Trump trying to score some cheap political points because right now he's not doing well in the 65 or older crowd because of his botched coronavirus response. So he's not doing well in the polls. And so he's like, I don't know, immigration. No, we'll do an immigration ban. Yep. Can he actually even do that? I don't know. I mean, there's experts that are saying that I don't actually think that he can unilaterally do that at this point, but we're not sure, right? But look, as far as coronavirus, 45,000 people have died so far. They have. And that's the truth about what's going on here. And I think that's far more important than worrying about a millionaire's babysitter. I'm just saying. So, hey, all Fox News is worried about those, the Karens of the world. And that's what she's a literal, Ainsley is a literal Karen. And she's all wondering, while these people are dying and while millions of people can't afford their bills, we got one measly $1,200 check that the administration says, yeah, it should be able to last until this whole thing blows over. That's going to be a while. But again, the Karens, they're all worried about how they're going to survive in their multi-million-dollar homes without the help. Oh my God, they might actually have to spend time with their own children. Ooh, scary. Ridiculous. All right, anyway. All right, let's move on. Au pair. I had too much fun with that word. All right. Hold on here, just a second. President Donald Trump is facing a lot of mocking on social media after he announced his order to shoot down Iranian gunboats if they harass our naval forces. Shoot down. Here's the tweet in question. I have instructed the United States Navy to shoot down and destroy any and all Iranian gunboats if they harass our ships at sea. Yes, we're going to shoot down those famous Iranian flying gunboats. Really? All right. So now here's the thing, right? Donald Trump's approval rating among seniors is the one thing that is crashing. And it's doing so because of coronavirus, right? So what does he do? Well, he starts making some aggressive moves on Iran. So we're gonna shoot down your boats. Your boat. We're gonna shoot them down with our invisible plane. Remember, this is a guy who thought stealth fighters literally turn invisible. They're invisible to radar, not literally. They don't have a cloaking device like a Klingon bird of prey. All right, that's not what happens here. Okay, stealth fighters just absorb radar, right? And so they don't bounce it off to go back to the radar tower because that's how you detect things via radar. I'm not sure if it absorbs it or refracts it in a way where it doesn't go back to the radio. Anyway, that's a more sciencey discussion on how radar actually works. That's not what we're doing here. All right, we're going to make fun of Donald Trump, okay? So that's what this is about. So look, his approval rating is bad as I mentioned, because his coronavirus response is absolutely disastrous. And so nothing works better than, again, trying to provoke a war in the Middle East, at least according to the media, because the media always gets a hard on when it comes to war. And so already CNN and MSNBC are probably like, I can't believe he's so presidential right now, threatening to shoot down these Iranian warboats. Right. And the other thing, of course, that he tried to do is an immigration order. So banning immigrants, campaign strategy, being tough on Iran, another campaign strategy. I wonder if it's going to work. We'll see what happens. But he's basically throwing everything he can, including the kitchen sink, right, out there so that he can distract from his terrible, terrible job as president. And despite the serious implications of a possible military conflict in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, those are two things that you generally don't want to have at the same time. Social media at least is going to lighten the mood a bit by mocking the president, and I'm all for it. Because if we can't laugh, we would cry. Let's just say that. So let's start with a couple of responses. One here's from Josh Marshall. These must be flying gunboats. Very devious. Yes. And you know how we know that they're flying gunboats? Well, because Donald Trump, he heard about it. Some people are saying that they fly. Some people are saying nobody knows flying gunboats like me. I'm an expert on flying boats. Okay, anyway. Nobody knows more about boats than I do. Oh, okay. Anyway, Southpaw says, shoot those boats out of the sky. Colonel Morris Davis, a military expert, says, seems our stable military genius Trump is unaware that you shoot down things that fly, not things that float. Decent trial lawyer says, Iran has flying boats? I thought you said our military has the best equipment. Oh, but it was depleted during Obama, and now we're undepleting it. We're gonna buy more invisible planes, and we're gonna buy more stuff to shoot down flying boats. That's what we're gonna do. Robert Reynolds says, shoot down the boats. Dementia on display. Look, I'm generally somebody who seems to be worried about Joe Biden, but we also have somebody currently in the White House whose brain is also turning to mush and deteriorating before our very eyes. And that's, of course, this guy. Walter Schaub said, when the U.S. Navy is done shooting down boats, will it have time to shoot down the flocks of coronavirus? Very good question indeed. Or what we could do is just turn off the 5G towers. Just flip the switch from Corona to 5G, right? Because that's the entire problem. No, all that's ridiculous. I mean, come on, man. And finally, my own addition to this, of course, is one does not simply just shoot down a boat. You just don't. But as fun as this is, of course, I cannot help wonder, and in the back of my mind, where the existential dread is right now, what will get us first? Will it be coronavirus or Donald Trump's rampant stupidity? Not sure. Okay. What are the oranges of this analysis? It's so good. You guys are great. All right, moving on. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just served up a bucket of hurt to Tucker Carlson on Twitter after he ran a segment, of course, calling her a child of privilege. So in this next video that I'm going to show you, Carlson is going to make the argument that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not who she says she is. No. And that she is not a true representative of disenfranchised people, not like someone like Tucker Carlson. Let's take a look.
Doesn't make sense as a person until you learn that she grew up as Sandy Ocasio in an affluent suburb of Westchester and then went on to get some silly, pointless degree at a silly, pointless private college. Of course she did. It's so obvious once you know it. Thank you, Wikipedia. She is a child of privilege. She's not some kid from the streets.
Some silly degree. It's some silly college. It just happens to be an economics degree. That silly degree. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah, okay. All right. So you want to talk about child of privilege, right? Child of privilege. In 1979, Tucker Carlson's father married divorcee Patricia Carolyn Swanson. Now, you might be familiar with that name, especially if you've ordered anything from Swanson. I mean, Swanson Enterprises, that is. He would be a literal child of privilege. He grew up with millions of dollars. So what's funny about this is seeing Tucker Carlson call someone a child of privilege is pure projection, because that's exactly what he is. And so what's interesting about Tucker Carlson is he, before Trump, right, the whole Trump phenomenon and the populist, so-called populist right, had emerged, Tucker Carlson was like, yeah, I'm out of the closet millionaire. I'm out of the closet elitist, right? That he called himself. Hey man, well, I'm elite. I'm proud to be the elite, man. It's so great being better than everybody else. Oh, now he's changed his tune, and since his show got more popular, because he started talking about populism. And so now he casts himself as a right-wing populist. Oh man, I am so in tune with the regular Joe, the regular American worker. Isn't the establishment so bad? Oh, I hate those elitists. Oh, especially people like Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, who grew up in the Bronx. Really? So he's trying to appeal to the populace, right? And he does a really good job. Especially if you don't know anything about who Tucker Carlson really is, the fact that he is a child of privilege, that he is a Swanson heir and a millionaire. He could talk the talk, and he's pretty good at it. But the guy cannot walk the walk. And so AOC, however, she does talk the talk, and she does walk the walk, literally. She was hand-delivering food to neighborhoods in the Bronx as of recently. She also dedicated 100% of her usual campaign fundraising that she does not raise from corporations. And she actually raises it from regular people. She decided to put that towards food pantries and other organizations in New York City that are helping out regular people. And at the same time, her team has distributed that food to people in need. Now, maybe Tucker Carlson has made some donations to food banks or local charities during this crisis. I mean, certainly he doesn't need to help his own community because his own community is likely behind a giant gate. But he could make some donations and actually try to walk the walk. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to do so. The point is, right, I don't see him doing that. Talks a good game when it comes to populism, to being in tune with the forgotten worker, but it's basically just bullshit. I mean, he's a fake populist. And a literal child of privilege, like he calls AOC. So now, I love her clap back to this one. It's pretty good. She said this, quote, "I've lost track. Am I just a bartender who should go back to making drinks without health insurance? Or am I a secretly deceitful child of privilege because I'm an heiress of the Swanson food empire? Oh, wait, sorry, that's Tucker Carlson." Love it. Again, fake populism. And you see that a lot on the right, but you're also starting to see, of course, and I think we've had a lot of this on the progressive side, where people will say, "Oh, I'm totally a progressive," and then they, I believe in these progressive things, and they get elected, and they don't do progressive things. I mean, I can think of one person who was very successful at this, and that would be President Obama, who campaigned as a progressive and governed as a centrist. And so, unfortunately, you see this more on the left than you see on the right wing, but you do see this on the right wing now with people like Tucker, with people like Dave Brott. And of course, the other big example of right-wing populism is Donald Trump. They don't mean a damn thing of it, though. No, these people are Are look, whenever somebody is super wealthy, generally, and I'm not saying in all cases, but generally, when somebody is super wealthy and they start talking about populist ideas, I think it's a smart thing to be a bit skeptical of it. That said, people like FDR, well, FDR was a very, very rich person, but he did deliver some pretty progressive change when he was in office. So that's why I'm saying not to write off everybody who's a populist, but just to be a little bit wary of who picks up the populist progressive label, at least on the left. And you also have to be careful of anybody on the right who picks up the populist label, because there's a fairly good chance that that populism comes with racism, xenophobia, and a little bit of fascism. So I'd just be a little bit careful. Now, as far as, of course, AOC is considered, look, AOC is not perfect by any means, but I do like her a lot. And I think that she does stand on the side of workers, even when it's sometimes she does things that gets her in trouble by not only the establishment, but some of her own fans. And so I love on the conservative side, right? You've got conservatives saying, oh, well, she's just a bartender. She's stupid, right? She's too dumb to, actually serve. And then other conservatives saying, I can't believe how elite she is. What a child of privilege. Could they twist themselves into more of a pretzel over her? I don't know, but they're certainly going to try. All right. Yes, Anita, you are correct. FDR did some very racist things as well. So, look, you got to look. Everybody has good and terrible in their record, and you're absolutely right to call them out for it. All right. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back. We've got more stories for you guys, including the hydroxychloroquine study. We got Brian Kemp and restaurant owners that are not in favor of opening up. And then we've got a Biden story that I think you'll really enjoy. So stay right here, like and share the stream, and we'll be right back right after this break. Round the Nation.
Mike Pounds.
Why? You're getting nervous, man.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Welcome back to the show, Around the Nation, right here, TYT Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. All right, so I want to thank some patrons. Patreon.com/TYT Nation. By the way, we're doing a patron drive. I'm trying to get to 400 patrons by the end of the month. We're at 377. So if you want to sign up, I mean, you can sign up for like $1. And all of that goes to help the show run. So we can keep doing this every day and not have to worry about the lights literally going off in the middle of the show. And so if you can help out, patreon.com/TYT Nation or become a channel member as well. All of that goes to help the show. So now I want to thank a couple of you. I want to thank Joseph Fairbanks and Rodney Womack. Thank you for signing up and supporting independent progressive media. As far as channel members go, I want to thank Tammy Classell and Brian Mattingly. So thank you for signing up as well. You can hit the join button below in order to become a channel member and support the show. All right. Comments. Super chats. Let's go to super chats. Actus Mega says, hi, haven't been able to watch much lately. Hope everyone stays safe and healthy. Keep up with the good fight. Thank you, Actus. We do appreciate that. All right. So let's see. A lot of comments here. Sam, I know you're being super sarcastic, so I'll read that. AOC and the Progressive, True Progressive, sat on their butt for 4 years, use her YouTube channel to praise Tulsi 24/7 and call everyone else a sellout and warmonger. I think I know who you're referring to. Let's leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not saying any names. I'm just not saying any names. Okay. More comments here. Mr. Elder, of course, points out some of the bad stuff that FDR did. And by the way, yeah, we should not ignore that. We should definitely, remember the stains, the black marks on certain individuals. Like then back then, a lot of people were freaking racist and did some pretty terrible things. And so you can't gloss those over, but you also can't also look at some of the good things. That's nuance. And this reminds me of the discussion, of course, that Bernie Sanders had when it came to Cuba. And remember how he got absolutely pilloried for saying something positive about Cuba's education system. And also not only that, but, saying something positive about the Soviet Union. Like, oh, they've got a good, such and such here. And immediately the flood of criticism. I can't believe you would say something like that. No, everything has to be bad if they do one thing bad. Then everything has to be bad. No. There's nuance in this situation. There's nuance, and we need to talk about that and talk about the good, talk about the bad, and talk about how to do better as progressives. That's what the progressive movement really, really should be. Okay. So let's see. I want to read a couple more comments here because I really enjoy doing that. All right. Let's find a good one here. Tucker Carlson, the Swanson frozen food. I know. Yeah, imagine calling someone else privileged a child of privilege. It's insane. Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Lots of fun, but we got more of a show. All right. There's a new study out about hydroxychloroquine. Now, that is the drug, of course. It's an anti-malaria drug that has been touted by President Trump and some Fox News hosts, as well as TV doctors like Dr. Oz, as a possible treatment for coronavirus, for COVID-19. Well, it turns out that this study has shown that it is not effective at treating coronavirus or the novel coronavirus. And so It also turns out that according to this study, people that were given the drug actually died more often. Now, there's, of course, nuances in this story. Like, for example, when they administered the drug, like when did they administer the drug, if the side effects were at fault, all that stuff. And so we'll get into that when we discuss this. But in the initial study, which has not been peer-reviewed yet and was, according to the Associated Press, not a rigorous experiment, but nonetheless a study that showed that it was currently not effective. So now they studied about 368 patients. And so far, the largest look at the treatment of or using hydroxychloroquine as a treatment for COVID-19. And also, they combined it with the antibiotic azithromycin in some cases. So researchers, according to the Associated Press, analyzed medical records of 368 male veterans hospitalized with confirmed coronavirus infections at Veterans Health Administration medical centers who died or were discharged by April 11th. About 28% who were given hydroxychloroquine plus usual care ended up passing away, versus 11% of those getting routine care alone, about 22% of those getting the drug plus azithromycin died as well. But the difference between the group and usual care was not considered large enough to rule out other factors that could have affected survival. Now, in the case of people that went on a ventilator, they found no difference in hydroxychloroquine and the need for using a breathing machine. Now, the researchers did not track side effects. However, they did note that hydroxychloroquine might have damaged other organs, as it had long been known to have a potentially serious side effect, including altering heartbeats in a way that could lead to sudden death. So, of course, look, that is well known. Even Donald Trump addressed it kind of, and he's like, just try it. What do you have to lose? It's got a heart issue, but it's a very, very minor issue. Just try it. You'll like it. I mean, I don't know if that's the exact quote, but my God, man, he really is a dumb person. Okay, so now that heart issue, that's what got Brazilian scientists to stop testing hydroxychloroquine. Oh, I'm sorry, not hydroxy, just normal chloroquine, which was an older drug and is similar in composition to hydroxychloroquine. They found significant heart rhythm problems that developed in a quarter of people that were given the higher of 2 doses being tested. So there were some significant problems. Overall, this study shows that it's a bit of a bust. Sad. Now, the National Institute of Health has issued new treatment guidelines from a panel of experts. And it said that there was not enough evidence to recommend for or against chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19. Now, it also advised against using hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin because of the potential side effects. In fact, Dr. Nasia Safdar, medical director of infection control and prevention at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, told the AP, quote, I think we're all rather underwhelmed at what's been seen among the few patients there who have actually tried this drug. So very underwhelming. Well, man, that is a far cry from being the Donald Trump miracle drug, which is why over the last week and a half, roughly, we really haven't heard a lot from Donald Trump on this anymore. So that was despite weeks of him and Fox News, hosts on Fox News, pushing this drug. Turns out the last mention of the drug came in the form of a retweet on April 10th of a Fox News report talking about French President Emmanuel Macron being under pressure to authorize wider use of that drug within his country. Since then, apart from 2 public appearances last Tuesday, Trump barely mentioned hydroxychloroquine, if mentioning it at all, and refrained entirely from invoking the drug during White House briefings on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there's a reason, of course, for that, because it doesn't work. It doesn't seem to work. It has disastrous side effects and is not shown to help COVID-19 patients. It's not worth the risk of side effects. Not to mention, not that Trump cares about this at all, but there are people with certain autoimmune disorders like lupus that need that drug to live. And now at least, hey, now they might be able to fill their prescriptions. So that's a good thing. But can't really ignore the damage that President Trump has inflicted by promoting this drug as a supposed treatment for coronavirus without scientific evidence that it treats coronavirus. Because there is none. There is no evidence. The other problem, again, with that is, and this has been the problem throughout the entire Trump presidency, and not just the Trump presidency, but it's also a problem with Fox News. It's a problem with conservative, I think, media in general, is they'll put out misinformation in order to make profit, right? And they've got large audiences of people who will listen to that. And they're doing it for mainly selfish means. And I point to, of course, the fact that Trump himself has a small investment, small stake, roughly about $1,300 worth of stock in the maker of Plaquenil. So now that company is Sanofi, right? And it's a French drug maker. And when Trump started making his endorsements of hydroxychloroquine on March 21st, Sanofi saw their share of stocks rise by 16%, from $78.67 at market close on March 20th to $91.12 at time of publication of the Business Insider article on April 7th. So that had an impact. Trump said, go out and try it. You'll like it. What do you have to lose? And then, of course, the stock goes up because people in pharma are like, oh, Trump, we got an endorsement from Trump. Yes, buy. Increase the price. People got rich. People made some money. It's not hard to see what's going on here. It's corruption. Of course it is. And so, unfortunately, that really kind of encapsulates everything that Donald Trump cares about. Never cared about you. Never cared about your health. Never really cared about a cure. Yes, he would be happy for a cure, I'm sure, as anybody would be, right? But he would be even happier to make money from it, because that's who Donald Trump is. For him, it's about money first and human lives at a distant second. All right. Restaurants in Georgia are pushing back against Governor Brian Kemp and his order to reopen the state. Now, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution had spoken to a number of restaurant officials in Georgia after Kemp said that they could resume dine-in service for customers. So now, dine-in, kind of dangerous as we have coronavirus. Now, when it comes to takeout or drive-through, right now, those are the safest options, or, of course, delivery. There's apparently some restaurants either didn't do that or didn't have the ability to do that or just didn't want to, right? And so restaurants did close down. Unfortunate, right? We don't want to see restaurants close. We don't want to see people lose business. But when you have a worldwide pandemic that is highly contagious, when there are groups of people in an enclosed space, it kind of makes sense to not have at least dine-in services. And if you can't do anything else, then of course, close down for a short time until this is over. So now Kemp opened this back up, and he's getting a lot of criticism. In fact, here's Buttermilk Kitchen owner Suzanne Weisthon, who told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, quote, "It's insane. Insane. It's almost as stressful as when we got the news of the dine-in closure." She added that we feel like we just got into a good rhythm. We've got a system. We turn the living room and dining room into a fulfillment center. We simply do not feel safe, nor are we ready to open back up in days of getting the news. So again, they had a system, they put it in place, and they were able to resume business. And now Brian Kemp's saying, well, you can reopen your dine-in. And they're like, no, we are not going to do that. We are not interested in that. We do not feel safe. And that's actually the right way to go. All right, well, there's more. Restaurant operator Hugh Atkinson insisted that he would not open until, quote, "I weigh science," good, "and risk and have the confidence that I can do this correctly and safely for my employees and the people I serve." Again, that's smart. That's good. Yes, people listening to science. I am in favor of people listening to science because, well, science is true, whether you like it or not. And if it's not true, science has a process to disprove things that are not true. That's the whole point of science, it being a process. But anyway, so now there's more. Brian Maloof of Manuel's Tavern said that opening his restaurant is, quote, "simply not happening. Being closed has not been fun, but it's been the safest, best thing we could do for our staff and customers." And still others who are, looking at opening say we're not going to do so unless we have more guidance. And for example, do we have to have some of our people wear gloves, or what do you recommend for wearing masks? And it appears that the Kemp administration is not making any recommendations, is not putting out that necessary guidance for restaurants that, actually do want to open. So a lot of these restaurant owners, they're making the right decision. I mean, staying closed now, even though the government says you can open in the middle of a pandemic, again, smart, especially since Georgia does not have a good handle on this. Right now, over 20,000 people in Georgia have been confirmed as having coronavirus, and over 800 people have died so far. Thousands more could be carrying the virus, and we wouldn't know because we're massively behind on testing. So, and it's not just Georgia, it's many other states that lag behind in testing. The entire country lags behind other countries with testing. And one of the guidelines for opening up is the fact that you have to first have aggressive testing, which many states do not have. And you also have to show a massive decline in new coronavirus cases over a 14-day period. So these states, South Carolina is another one that is opening up really soon. South Carolina and Georgia are not hitting these guidelines. They're not. And so they're opening up anyway because the Trump administration is allowing them to do so. But Brian Kemp, he's like, I don't know. I don't care. I really don't care. So now these business owners are choosing to be responsible, and by not opening up, protecting themselves, their customers, and their employees. So they're doing the right thing. And also, as long as the business is closed, their workers are still able to collect unemployment benefits. The problem is when you open up the restaurants and you allow the restaurant owners to make the decision, not all of them are going to do the right thing. In fact, if you open up right now and say, sure, let's go ahead and do the dine-in service. Well, you're not only exposing yourself to risk if you're there in the restaurant, but you expose your workers because the workers will not be able to have a choice. They won't be able to sit back and do and draw unemployment benefits. They'll have to come to work whether or not it's safe to go because they will have bills to pay. And so you don't get those unemployment benefits if you refuse to go back to work. You immediately lose it. And so again, all these people are not going to have any choice. They're going to end up getting exposed. And then we're going to have a new wave of coronavirus infections and deaths. And it's going to be Georgia and South Carolina that are the focal points of this. And again, if you have a boss that doesn't care and not, and chooses to not do the right thing, but to do the expedient thing and to do the thing that helps them make a profit, well, look, I understand business is about making a profit, but when you put your customers at risk and your workers at risk, well, then that's not a profitable thing in the long run. So we're counting on these people and lifting these stay-at-home orders. You're counting on other people to do the right thing. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I do not have trust in people. Okay. Look, a person can be very smart. People, especially in large groups, can be really, really dumb. Yeah. And so that's really a bad idea. And of course, you're also counting on some people who might be super greedy and will put that, the health of their wallet, their bottom line, over their employees, their customers. They only care about making money. It doesn't make any sense. And what also doesn't make any sense, other than opening up restaurants, is some of the other things that Brian Kemp has opened up. Hairdressers, tattoo parlors, massage therapists, and gyms. Really? You're going to open those up? Really? Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, look, you can't exactly get a haircut from 6 feet away. To be fair, I haven't went for a haircut in years. Maybe the rules have changed. Maybe they've got really, really long scissors. But no, seriously, you can't do those things from 6 feet away, which is social distancing, right? And Kemp says, well, we're going to open them up, but we're going to make sure to, tell people to socially distance, right? You can't get a haircut or a massage from 6 feet away. You can't maintain social distancing. Sorry. And yes, there are masks available, but masks don't prevent you from getting sick. I'm just saying. So that's a big problem. Okay. If your boss is a dick and wants to open up the salon, the nail salon, or whatever, well, unfortunately, if you're one of those workers, you're going to have to go back to work, or you're going to face the real possibility of not being able to pay your bills. And that is the problem. So understand why this is incredibly stupid and dangerous. Also understand that Brian Kemp doesn't give a crap. Just doesn't give a crap. He's not going to get exposed on his job. He's not on the front lines. He's not a hospital worker. He's not stocking shelves. He's not going to be giving you a massage. That's for damn sure. So it doesn't affect him at all. But when you look at it from his perspective, a bad economy, well, they're going to blame that on me. And that's bad for my re-election chances. And when it comes between power and doing the right thing, unfortunately, people like Kemp are always going to choose power. All right. Moving on. Last story here. It appears that Joe Biden may have just angered a lot of his potential voters. Now, this was during an interview on Monday with Pittsburgh's KDKA. The presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party said that he would not commit to choosing a woman of color to be his vice presidential running mate, despite, of course, promises to at least pick a woman or a woman of color to be his VP. So this comes after saying that he would enthusiastically choose First Lady Michelle Obama as his running mate, but then said this, quote, "I'll commit to that be a woman because it is very important that my administration look like the public, look like the nation. And there will be committed that there will be a woman of color on the Supreme Court, that doesn't mean there won't be a vice president as well. A little bit of word salady, but okay. I get the general point. Maybe, not a woman of color as VP, but a woman of color on the Supreme Court, maybe. I mean, I can't really commit to that, but also I can't commit to not choosing a woman of color. You know what I'm saying? So this sparked a lot of outrage online, on social media, and from some of the worst people, right? So you have hardcore Biden supporters, and you have women of color. So a lot of them are hoping that Joe Biden would pick somebody like Stacey Abrams or Kamala Harris. Now, those are not two picks that I would be cool with, but it's not about me, right? Look, a lot of these people that generally calling themselves the K-Hive, hence the reference, of course, to the nest, hornet's nest, because, boy, when you poke that, yeah, not good, not fun to deal with. They're, of course, justifiably angry, right? In fact, the Grio put out a headline last week saying, if Biden doesn't pick Stacey Abrams, he can kiss black folks goodbye. And then you also had Representative James Clyburn, who gave him an endorsement that saved his campaign in South Carolina, and Representative John Lewis of Georgia saying that they want Biden specifically to name a woman of color to be his VP. Former Hillary staffers also have gotten on board and saying, you should probably pick a woman of color, because one of the big problems that we had in 2016 with Hillary Clinton, again, this is according to them, I have my own analysis about this. They say, well, we shouldn't have picked Tim Kaine. Well, I agree with that part. We should have picked a woman of color instead, or just, a woman, right? Somebody that would excite black voters to get them to turn out. Instead, they picked white bread Tim Kaine, which I agree was a terrible choice, because literally Driftwood was more exciting than Tim Kaine. And he basically disappeared. He disappeared during that entire campaign. Like, I remember his picture being on a milk carton. Where's Tim Kaine? Where is he? Oh, nobody cares. So now, the biggest backlash, again, came from members of the K-Hive. And I want to read this. And again, this comes from some of the worst people on Twitter. They said, I won't commit my energy to Joe Biden's campaign without Kamala Harris on the ticket. Let his white woman supporters knock on doors in the ghetto. Okay, that's pretty strong. Again, this is somebody who basically is a founder of the K-Hive, or a co-founder of the K-Hive. Another person said, this is what happens when they get a little too comfortable. He's listening to the very smart people, insisting he already has the blacks. Yikes. Another one, sounds like Joe Biden has already forgotten who pushed the Joe bus out of the mud when it had 3 flat tires. Ask me if I'm surprised. I have no energy for it unless Kamala's on the bus. So these are people, of course, that are very enthusiastic about a Biden-Harris ticket. And I've seen this all over. Biden-Harris, right? That would be a terrible ticket. But nonetheless, these people are very enthusiastic about it. Another says, I'll still vote for Biden, but if Klobuchar is the VP, my energy and excitement will go to 0. Let's shall see what he decides. A super moderate ticket like that is already giving me the yawns. Funny how they talk about moderate ticket, right? Again, I'm somebody who supported Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders, because he was not a super moderate and because he had a history of fighting for the right things. Nonetheless. Okay. Biden, all of this, by the way, shows that nobody who backs Biden really cared about Biden. They cared about who would be, of course, a more exciting VP, right? And I'll get to Klobuchar, some of his picks later. But anyway, another person says, you've got to be kidding me. I said before, I'm throwing chairs if it's not a black woman, and I'm stuck inside, so I better not be throwing my own chairs. This is BS. It needs to be and should be Kamala. We should all be supporting the base. Love the guy talking about throwing chairs when literally, you guys remember back in 2016 where some of these same people were mad that allegedly Bernie Sanders supporters were throwing chairs at the Nevada caucus. Or that was the Nevada State Convention. Sorry. Bernie Sanders won Nevada now in 2020, by the way. Just saying. There were no chairs that were being thrown. But this guy's literally saying, I will throw a chair if it's not Kamala. Full meltdown. Total meltdown. I can't help but to feel reading these responses. And the whole thread is gold, by the way. I'm just like, you love to see it. You know it. Schadenfreude. Feels good. Feels good. We told you, Joe Biden, not to be trusted. We all said, hey, maybe we should nominate somebody based on, I don't know, his record or her record. Somebody that, isn't just picked because of identity politics. Maybe. I mean, look, speaking on the record, when it comes to Joe Biden's record, especially on race, it's bad. Joe Biden is no friend to women of color. It's just not. He's just not. I mean, look how he treated Anita Hill. Look at how he palled around with segregationists. I mean, that guy, the guy who lied about getting arrested in South Africa. Oh, no, I went to go and see Nelson Mandela, but I got arrested at the airport. The staff's like, no, you didn't. I was there. That literally never happened. He has a long history. And by the way, you can't blame this on his mental decline, which has showed up recently. No. Joe has been a liar for a very, very long time. He has lied about being in places that he never actually was. He was never in any of those places, especially during the civil rights era. Again, he was on the side that was against forced busing. And by the way, Kamala's whole shtick, right, about being, I was that little girl, and going after Joe Biden in one of those debates. Now Kamala Harris, what, they want her to be his VP after that? I mean, I haven't forgotten about that. Maybe they have, but I certainly haven't forgotten. So, no, he's no friend for black women. And by the way, any person that he picks would end up being a token. And so that's probably why he's not going to go in that direction. But did anybody think that he would stick to choosing a woman of color? By the way, there are many progressive women of color who would actually make excellent picks. I'm just saying, for any VP, progressive women. I mean, somebody like Barbara Lee, Nina Turner. I mean, these women are fantastic, and they are progressive. And you don't even have to have a woman of color. Of course, you can have somebody like Tammy Baldwin, also progressive. But look, here's what's likely to happen with Joe Biden. Biden's going to go super safe. He's going to pick somebody like Klobuchar. I mean, really. Klobuchar, white Midwestern, boring milquetoast centrist. And here's why. Because somebody like that is not going to outshine him. The LA Times talked about this. They had an excellent take on it. And it says, he wants a running mate who is ready to step into the role of president on a moment's notice. He wants someone who is simpatico, someone he is comfortable with. Now, here's the thing. Joe Biden was not chosen because of his great relationship with the African American community. Joe Biden was chosen for the opposite by Barack Obama. Barack Obama was already very comfortable with the African American community. He's part of it. But he needed someone who was comfortable for the white community. That was Joe Biden. He made whites comfortable with a black president. To say that, oh no, Biden's going to get the black vote is ridiculous. He's not going to get that Obama coalition. And so that's why, again, rightly so, a lot of these people are saying, well, you should choose a black woman then, because you've got to give the community something, right? I would say give the community policy. But again, I don't think like these establishment people. So I've come at it from a completely alien perspective. Like, oh, why don't you pick people who are good with policy? Policy is going to help everybody, including the African American community. But again, I don't deal with tokens, but and that kind of thinking because it's ridiculous. But again, going back to Politico, the LA Times, they said he is in short thinking about whom he'd like to run the country with rather than about the short-term political benefits of a running mate's race, ideology, or regional ties. Basically, I read that and I think he's going to go safe. He's going to go boring. He's going to go with a female Tim Kaine. So who is that? I think Gretchen Whitmer has a great choice. Like, I wouldn't say, I'm not saying great choice, right? I'm saying if you're looking for boring, if you're looking for milquetoast, but Midwestern milquetoast, then you're going to go with somebody like Gretchen Whitmer. And that's it. Gretchen Whitmer, by the way, she's my governor right now. And look, she's doing a passable job when it comes to COVID-19. And that's why she's facing a lot of protests, right? She's doing a fine job on that. But at the same time, she is owned by health insurance companies. And this is one of the reasons that I opposed her when she ran for governor of Michigan, why I supported Abdul El-Sayed. She is mainly funded by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Well, she would get along greatly in a Biden administration because she is, quote unquote, simpatico. And again, from the Midwest. And Whitmer is, of course, on the short list. And then, of course, Klobuchar as well. And here's a reason why it's now even more likely for it to be one of those two. He's struggling in the swing states, right? In the Midwest, against Donald Trump, in the Rust Belt. And so I think he believes that he should pick somebody who will help them in that area. Now, in doing so, of course, he's going to be appealing to white, moderate Rust Belt voters, which are not the black community. So he's going to turn off the black vote. And so that's going to be a huge problem. And look, understand that there's no energy for Biden. The only energy there is for him is that he's not Donald Trump and that he could possibly pick, in their words, a good running mate. I don't think that's going to happen. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he will pick somebody that's generally more exciting. Look, I think that you either have a Bernie Sanders, a Nina Turner, or a Barbara Lee, somebody who is progressive, somebody who's going to be effective at turning people out. And I know certainly Bernie Sanders will do that. Will that happen? Absolutely not. I don't think it's going to happen at all. He's going to go safe. He's going to go boring, and he's going to end up losing to Donald Trump. That is what I think will happen. I hope I am wrong. But, I mean, when it comes to the ability for centrists to lose elections, for Democrats to lose elections, I'm generally not wrong about that. And that sucks. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for going on the nation for me today. Please like and share the stream. Please help us get to 400 patrons. Patreon.com/TYTNation. In fact, I want to check to see where we're at here. Still 377. So 400 patrons. We need your help to continue this show, especially during coronavirus. But we needed your help before. Now it's even worse. So please help us out. Sign up, patreon.com/TYTNation. Help save independent progressive media. And not just support, but save. All right, guys. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Please stay safe. Wash your hands. I got a bottle of hand sanitizer right here. So just in case I need something. And remember, love you guys. Change begins with you. See you tomorrow.
Mike Pounds. Mike Pounds.
Please clap.
Why? Oh, you're getting nervous, man.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.